You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the review show for round 17 on the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast Network. No horse tonight again, as he is up at his in-laws' parents' place, having the time of his life. I've just finished a very long shift at work. I'm ready for bed, but tonight I'm joined by two very handsome fellows who scored pretty well this week, the both of them, and they're pretty up and about. Hurls, how are you tonight, mate?
I'm good, mate. I can show my face again this week. I've been bloody disappointing over the bye rounds. It's been really tough grind, but 24.06 this week, so up and about, and we'll enjoy it while it lasts until the injuries take their toll and the season comes crashing down.
100%, that's it. And also, top of the podcast, Flanders. How are you, mate?
Mate, I'm living my best life over here, mate. Top of the pod, 24-10, 8 of 8 in the leagues, mate. It's a lovely week.
It's a fair enough week. I wouldn't call it lovely. But yes, there were some big scores flying around from some pretty random players and some good players at the same time. There's going to be some big scores this week. First week at the buys. And we've got a few of them floating about in the community with a couple of 2500s and whatnot floating about. So, it'll be good to see. Before we get into the games tonight, this show is brought to you by The Standard Squeeze, helping you drink responsibly. Use the promo code IFS 2025 for 15% off your order on all good products. So, I reckon we'll just jump straight into the games this week, boys, because there's a few to get to now that we're out of the buys. And first game of the week, North Melbourne versus the Doggies. Doggies come away with it pretty comfortably in the end. Thanks to one Tom Liberatore, dropping a 171 for the top score this week. I mean, it's vintage Libber, isn't it?
Really was. He did everything.
2 goals, 10 tackles, 27 touches, 5 marks. You know, all this talk about he's only one concussion away from going, but he just showed in this one that he's still got a lot left in the tank. And, he was backed up by a guy who I still don't have. And it's starting to take a toll on me. Marcus Bontempelli, 133 from him. He's had a big week again. Aaron Norton kicked 5 for a 113. Tim English, 29 hitouts and 2 goals for 109. Matty Kennedy, he's finally cracked the 100 mark, Hurls, 104.
We were joking about this on Thursday night after the game. It's probably the first game that, if anything, he might have even got overscored early, but probably a reasonable score for what he produced. Sometimes he gets the Bont tax or the mini Bont tax or the Darcy tax or someone else tax. This week, I reckon he was probably right on. 104 was nice. He's a good player to watch. It's just been the SuperCoach scores that have been a bit frustrating. I got a bit nervous when he was 99 and he did a turnover followed by a free kick against. I thought he's allergic to hundreds, this bloke. But then he got over the line with a 104, so it was all right.
Ed Richards with another fairly decent game in this one. Could have been a lot bigger than what it was with a 95. Rory Lobb, 93. A few decent scores flying about. And then you get to a guy who kicked 4.2, but still only had 73 points. And a lot of people went the pod route and had him VC'd in this one, Flanders. What did you make of Sam Darcy in this game?
Yeah, he had to work his ass off to get into the game. And the problem was he did so much of his work in the back end of the game where it wasn't actually that vital. Like he played a ripping game by the eye. And it's Luke Beveridge. You'd be very happy with the way a young guy kept working, minute by minute, play by play throughout the game. And he kicked 4 goals in the end. So as a coach, you'd be happy. As a super coacher, you take it, but he can do much better for us.
100%, mate. And speaking of Luke Beveridge, I think everyone by now has seen his podcast and him bringing up one Bailey Dale, him moving him to the forward line in, sort of the old Bevo treatment, talking about the SuperCoach thing. Is that the reason why you've got the old post press conference background going on, or what's going on there?
We declined to answer to the media, mate.
It was good to hear him have a joke about it though, wasn't it? After the game, saying, "Yeah, the SuperCoach community aren't going to be happy with us" and all that kind of stuff. At least he sees the funny side of it.
The best part was he said again he knew the wheel ripped into him last year as well for Bevo.
Yeah.
He knew it.
I think he's seen one too many Bevo'd claim statements floating about. But yeah, it's fair enough. You do what's best for your football team at the end of the day, and yeah, it's good that he had a bit of a joke about it. If you're a Bailey Dale owner, 65 does suck. He did get moved forward, but at the same time, he's fine. He's going to play back the majority of the rest of the season. It's all good. Looking further down the doggies list, Joel Frazier with a bit of a disappointing game, 41 for him. And that's really about it. So, yeah, any guys that had a bit of a pod punt at him again didn't really pay off. Looking over to North Melbourne, there's a few guys at the top here that we like to see, Tristan Sherry being one of them, 126. Colby McKercher, the 123. Nick Larkey kicked 5 for a 104. Harry Sheasel, who all throughout the week was non-contact. Everyone was wondering what his role is going to be. Is he even going to get up to play? Pumps out a 94. You take that if you're still on Sheasel, right?
Yeah. And I think the thing that we're seeing with Sheasel, when he's getting, centre bounce time, he's scoring really well. And when he's not, he's not. And that's going to go with the territory for that kind of role. So hopefully for the rest of the year, he's getting a little bit more mid-minutes. Because I think it was the second or third term when they put him into the guts, he looked really good. And I think that's where he needs to be playing.
Yeah, he got 54% CBAs this round, so it was a much better outing by him.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think
we should say as well, Deadly, just on the game itself, like North's 100th year, and they celebrated it really well. I really enjoyed listening to Pagan at the start of the game and giving the lads a bit of a rev up. That was pretty cool with all the old blokes in the background. So they did well. I think the worry for me was why did they request a Thursday night? I know Thursday night is good for TV ratings, but geez, if you want your families to go and kids and all of that, surely a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday night would be a better time slot for that kind of thing. I don't know.
It's probably more so the fact of, there was obviously 2 games to Friday, 2 games to Saturday night, maybe just that sort of aspect. And no one wants to have it on a Sunday or anything like that. But yeah, I think Saturday afternoon would have been better. I think you're right on that part. And I don't know about you, but after being involved in a few races and watching a few races, I definitely felt like Dennis Pagan was talking to a couple of his horses and not the North Melbourne boys after a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking further down the North Melbourne list, Caleb Daniel, 25 touches, pretty unlucky to get 79, just had a bit of an ordinary day out. Cooper Harvey, who he sort of went a bit famous this week for bringing back the old kick to yourself inside the square into the play on.
Did we find out if he got 2 disposals for that?
No, just the one. Just
the one. Interesting.
I think it makes sense because he kicks himself in the square, and if you kick within the square, as you kick it doesn't count, and then you step out.
Am I right in saying that even if you get a disposal and the ball goes back to you, I think it has to hit the floor? I'm fairly sure.
Yeah.
Or it has to contact something else. It can't just go from foot to hand. I'm fairly sure. Anyway.
Probably right.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, though, watching it. A bloody 18-year-old bloke doing something that hasn't been around for about 10 years plus. So that's about really it for North Melbourne, besides the guy at the very bottom, LDU, 21, subbed out with concussion. I think this sort of brings up a bit of a next year chat. There's a lower priced LDU, if he doesn't go bonkers when he comes back, sort of tickle your fancies, or because I think it has to, right?
I think he was already probably looking at being a value type midfielder, and with scores like this thrown in, it's only going to add to that, right? I think anyone at the right price is worth looking at. I mean, there's a long way and a lot of water to go under that bridge, but I think it's something to think about. The other concussion out of the game, Tristan Sherry, 126. He got. I mozzed him. I took the C and put it on Lockie Whitfield 10 minutes to go in the third quarter when Sherry was on 108. And then he ended up not getting too many. Actually, he got more points for me after that point when he went off. I think he got about 8 or 9 after he went off the ground. But the good news out of that is it seems that he passed the concussion test. So as long as there's no other symptoms in the next day or two, it looks like he'll be okay to play against Melbourne next week.
You had some pretty colourful language in our chat as well while it was happening. You weren't happy that he was going off.
No, and I ended up still keeping it. I kept the 126. I think it was just one of those ones. I really flirted with the idea of risking it on somebody else, and then I thought to myself, "What's 20 points really? If you're chasing 20 points, it's not really worth it." And I did wait to see what Nick Dacos got because a lot of my league matchups had Dacos either vice captain or captain. So I'd had a look at that. Once he went similar, I said, I'll take the 126, and that worked out okay for me.
Yeah, that's a fair call. I mean, yeah, he's completely fine apparently from what I've heard. Even after we found out that he's probably fine from concussion, he hasn't suffered any symptoms, so he should be right to line up next week, which is good to hear for Tristan and for our SuperCoach teams. Moving to the Friday night games, we've got one podcast family member who will be bloody happy about this one, and another one in the same household that's happy just to see Carlton lose. Collingwood pretty easily beating the brakes off of Carlton, to be fair. Looking at the Carlton side of things, Zach Williams, he was easily best on for Carlton, and then subbed out again with an injury. 19 touches, 3 goals, 64% TOG. Unreal. He was the only Carlton player that actually looked good in this one.
Yeah, we've been playing a bit more mid-time. Kicked the 3 goals. I think 2 of those were from the midfield, but I don't know how that injury is going to hold up for the coming weeks. He might be in some trouble. Not much to say really about Carlton, is there?
Nah. Well, we can have a little bit of a chat about the bloke who's second top scorer for him, Mark Shitnet, and what he's done to one Tom De Koning, a 66 in this one for TDK. And look, I know you were an owner last week, the week before, Hurls, but if you're still an owner, you're still holding 100% time to jump off?
Sell, 100%. I sold him before this game as he was gone for me whether Pittonet was selected or not. I'd made that decision, but once he did come in, it was just obvious for me to get rid of him. And I think this is where it's interesting at this time of year. And look, this may well bite me in a few weeks because I'm down to 1 trade. But for me, I wasn't carrying a 66. He was 85 the week before as solo ruck. That was enough for me to say this guy's he's either disinterested or he's checked out or something. He just doesn't look like he cares at the moment to me. And so I think sell, no matter how many trades you got left, what's the point in carrying these blokes?
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. You share the same opinion, Broads?
Yeah. I'd say get him gone. If he's going to put up 60s, 70s, 80s, you're worth using the trade because the trade's there to cover an injury. And if he's not even going to make you 23, like you're 22 each week when you're playing, when you're fielding 23, you're not actually using him for anything.
Yeah. We skipped over a few prominent players for Carlton, to be fair. Adam Chera, who, as Voss said in the press conference, he did play in a few different roles, but he looked good for the majority of this one, so he's fine. Georgie Hewitt, he was okay, but he did have a bit of a job that he didn't really do on Nick Dacos. Sam Doherty, he was okay as well in this one. These are sort of the main guys that people would have for Carlton, but they all just did okay, and they couldn't really do much.
Doc will get defensive status this week too, so anyone that's got him, you'll get the luxury of being able to flick him between defence and mid.
Yep, 100%. I think that's really all for Carlton, to be honest. Like, we don't want to dig too far deep into these players, but we will talk about Nick Dacos, who I think he's probably getting real close to a Brownlow, especially Bailey Smith missing so many games now that I think Nick probably has to be the favourite again, right?
It'll be an interesting one, this one. Who's going to get 3 in this game? Who do you reckon will get 3? I don't think he will, personally. Nah. I reckon Pendles, the old man, was the best on ground.
I could see that. Yep. Look, there's sort of going to be some bias into it. We know how this goes. It's not really P Cripps 3 votes territory, but there is some there is a bit of Nick Dacos bias going around. They'll probably will give it to him, I reckon. Brazzy Maynard was good in this one. 114. Pendles, as you said, one of the best on ground for a 110. Darcy Cameron, who's just been solid all year, with a 108. Josh Dacos, 97. Tom Mitchell in his first game back, 69% tog for a 91, and he didn't really look like he lost a step up, the old boy.
He looked really good, actually. Yeah. I did hear the rumor of apparently he's wanting to keep going. His body's in the best shape it's ever been. He wants to actually keep going. So he may want to find himself a new home next year, because I don't think there's really the room for him to step in at Collingwood, especially once DeGoey comes back as well. Ned Long's made a place for him in that midfield. And Tom Mitchell's only inside mid. They can't roll into a forward pocket or anything like that. He's just a CBA mid guy. So I could see maybe a West Coast or someone wanting to go for him for that bit of, in and under grunt, at least for a couple of years.
Yeah, a bit of development experience to help the young guys that are coming through as well. I don't mind it. But definitely an interesting one. And it sort of makes a little bit of sense that he's in his body feels good. He's had that much time off, and he has played a couple of VFL games, got his body right. He's looked fine in the VFL games, and he's probably back to full-time AFL, you'd think.
It's also only 69% tog on that too. That's a good points per minute for him.
Yeah, real good. Jamie Elliott was good in this one. 87, kicked 4. Looking further down the list, they just had a good game. Everyone on Collingwood, pretty much just a good team game. But it's really just
have a look at this from the better half as well. This was quite humorous. Did anyone see this? Yes. So if you haven't seen it, look it up on social media. But the Collingwood cheer squad singing the St Kilda theme song when TDK was standing in the goal square was quite good for them. I didn't think they had the IQ combined to be able to come up with something like that, but they were pretty funny. So it was good.
Yes, it was good. It was good. This was the clash of. I think we all can agree the clash of we don't want anyone to win, but if we're happy that Collingwood beat Carlton.
Absolutely.
I agree.
And then the other game on the Friday night, bit of an ordinary one. GWS just basically pumping West Coast. It's just, I think you expected that one.
Yeah, I was expecting that one.
Looking at the West Coast side of things, Ruben Jinby with a real nice game, 99. But the big guy for West Coast in this one, redacted for most Essendon fans, Job Shanahan. He is a superstar in the making up forward.
Seriously good player, isn't he? Jeez, he's impressive.
He's real good. Ryan Marich, bit of a bounce back game for some of the duds he's put up, 93. Harley Reid, 93 as well. Tom McCarthy, who didn't reach the 107 or whatever it was to break Errol's record, but still put up a very respectable 82. Looking further down this list, not too much going on. Clay Hall got a game back. Yeah, not too much is going on for West Coast now. They were really just the rookie team this year, weren't they? When
Liam Baker was disappointing.
Yes. Liam Baker had very low amounts of 39 points in this one. He was on about 5 at halftime as well. Yeah.
He's actually had a reasonable run previously in general. So if anyone does get stuck with an injury over the next few weeks and it's one of your cheaper guys, it's a Shea Bolton or someone like that, they're someone you could look to pivot to for that forward line spot if you needed to, if he's going to drop a ton of cash, scoring a 39. So just worth having those cheap options there.
Did Bedford go to Baker in this one? Anyone watch this game? I didn't watch it.
I only watched the last quarter. I only watched the last quarter after the
I did not care for this game at all.
I think the AFL got their wish. They hit it beautifully, and no one cared, and
Yeah.
no one watched it. So we'll believe you, Kizza, because we don't know.
I'll trust you, but I was only looking at SuperCoach scores, and he looked shit house. So, but I could tell you one bloke who, when I did turn the game on for the 30 seconds or whatever, I was seeing a lot of Finn Callaghan. He was incredible. 37 touches and a goal for 144. Briggsy in his first game back was real good against Flynn as well, 141. Josh Kelly, 129. Xavier O'Halloran, who played a couple different roles in this one, I've been told, 122. Lockie Ash, 29 touches without Whitfield in this one, 110. Himmelberg, Tom Green, 35 touches for 105. It's okay. Everyone on GWS just scored as expected in this one, to be fair. Toby Green, 83. Riccardi, 82. Besides that, there's not too much going on. James Leake played his first game back, so he got 40 points for anyone that held on to him for ages. But, yeah, I think we could all agree that this was a pretty dud game this round.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing really here of great importance to anybody. McCarthy did his job. That's all that matters. He rocked up.
I did the last quarter. The last quarter, or the bit that I did see, I did see Marich winning the sprint contest back for the kick-ins against him a couple of times, which was disappointing. But yeah, so hopefully that doesn't last too long. And I think just a bit of coaching out there for our man McCarthy. Like, don't cop that. He's a winger now. Get rid of him. Tell him to stay up the ground, and you kick it to him if you have to. But we don't want any of that crap.
McCarthy had 6. Duggan had 4. Marich had 3.
Yeah, they must have all been late.
Sandy Brock had 1 too. There was a lot of them to go around. He could have gave the 107 if he had have drawn the line, said I'm the guy. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Toby Green kicking 4 behinds, O'Halloran and Jones both kicking 2. There was a few behinds going around. Ben Callaghan, he's look, the West Coast juicy matchup's over, but he's definitely one to talk about since returning from the injury. 123 or 113 and now 144. He's quite highly priced, but he hasn't gone under 104 since round 5. Any interest if you've got a trade as a little run home pod?
For sure. I mean, I don't have a trade, but I was interested this week. So my TDK out trade, I was tossing up between 2 blokes, Finn Callaghan and Nando's. And I went Nando's. I'm happy with that. But the only reason I did in the end was because if I went Finn Callaghan, it would have been another one in, out, back in. So I said, no, I'm not doing that again. I'm going for a bloke I've never owned. So I went with Nando's. But you could absolutely go to Finn Callaghan. He's a bloody good player, and he gets back behind the ball, which is really helpful because the midfielders who haven't got too many strings to their bow can get a bit stuck every now and then, but he gets back and joins the chains and links up with Ash, and hopefully Whitfield's back next week for those of us who have got him sitting on the pine, and Callaghan gets involved in a lot of that transition stuff with them.
100%. Is it sort of a another lesson that for next year, but we should have had it this year, of the old in out in? There seems to be a lot of them. We had Nick Martin for a lot of time last year, Hayden Young. We've had Finn Callaghan, Rosie this year. Is it sort of just
TDK on my list too? I
TDK,
stupidly went in, out, in.
Yeah, him in, out, in, and then out again.
I think there is something to be said for patience. Now we're sitting here with the king of patience, like Flanders. You are the probably the most patient SuperCoach person I know. You kept all of those blokes who were injured all the way through their injuries. So maybe it's just a Deadly and I thing that we're too impulsive and we get rid of these spuds and we have to get them back. But you certainly don't. You hold on to them, don't you, through the crappy periods, even if they're injured.
Yeah, McRae, Horn Francis, Neil, Merritt, Sarong. I can keep the list going if you want.
Yeah. And it paid off, right, this week?
It did, yeah.
It paid off, yeah.
But I will say I did own Callaghan, and I did send him away, and I did own Rosie, and I did send him away. So there was a few guys there. I think one of them was Callaghan or Rosie over to Merritt, so that was just more pain on top of pain.
I think the big one the big one that really pissed me off for Callaghan was about round 4 when I was already thinking about selling him, and I said I'll hold him for this West Coast matchup that he's got, and he scored 72, and so that's when I said, "Nah, you're done, mate." And then ever since then, he hasn't gone under 100. So
yeah. I think when we do a lesson show, I'm sure we will do a pod at some point in the not too distant future about what are our biggest learnings from this year. It's going to be, what do you do when it seems to be the mid pricer. Like if I held blokes like Neil and Zorko when they were crap because you paid $600K for them, but it's the ones that are like the Finn Callaghan, Connor Rosey prices that were
Will Ashcroft.
Ashcroft, those kind of blokes. Do we maybe change our philosophy a little bit? And I'll talk about those who have listened to me all year know I call those blokes stepping stones. So in my head, as soon as the cash is ready to go, I tend to flick them, and maybe I just need to adjust how I view that a little bit next year to make it a little bit more horses for courses instead of just a blanket rule, because I think it might work to be patient sometimes.
Yeah, 100%, mate. You're right. And
I think something probably interesting to note though, like Rosé 21st mid, Callaghan 25, Will Ashcroft 26. Like they shouldn't, like they're still not going to be that top 8, top 10 that before we knew what this year was going to be. We didn't know how bad this year was going to be cash wise in round 4, round 5 when it was all going. I think if we knew that we were only expecting a team value of 13.5 sort of around there for most people, we probably would have held a lot more. But we're expecting it to be like every other year.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a fair call, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. There is definitely, it's a bit of a deep dive topic that I'm sure we will do in the near future, and just when we look back on the season and how it all played out. So we'll move on to the battle of this podcast, I suppose. 2 Essendon boys versus a Gold Coast boy. And I think we forgot that the game's 4 quarters, Hurls, and not 3, right?
Yeah, but I don't think there's anyone unhappy with this. I was saying this on the weekend when this game was on. Like Essendon supporters will walk away from this going, all right, we're a little bit disappointed that we fell away so much in the last quarter, because we were thereabouts. I think we're a point or 2 points up with 30 seconds to go in the third. Yep. So to lose by 41 is a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, we showed enough. We have the young blokes did what they did. Merritt back into the midfield and Does back into the midfield was promising. And then equally, I think Gold Coast Broads, you'll be happy because even though you were down for probably 2.5 quarters there or whatever, the big guns stood up when it really mattered. Nando's took over. Rao came into it. The last quarter was dominant, and they smashed them in the end.
Yeah, I think we've always typically had a late. We haven't played the fourth quarter, and it's one of those things you need to be able to do that to win a premiership, to run deep in finals, is to play a full 4 quarters and play it hard. And when it does get really, really tight, you need to be able to actually flex your muscles a bit. And this was a match we expected to win, and the fact it was a battle all the way through to the third, like end of the third, we should have we could have quite easily rolled over or kept it tight, but to actually push, I think it's a win for all. We showed we can play 4 quarters, and you guys showed that even with some still notable names still out, you guys have a great future there as well.
Yeah, and I think the Lockie Bramble Responsibly Punters Club was happy because we got Gold Coast at the line and Archer May Gat and all sorts of fun things in this game. So it was pretty handy. Question, Broads. The one bloke, I think Gold Coast, their half back line looks phenomenal. They destroyed Essendon in transition. The one bloke who is probably going to come under the microscope in a few of the footy shows this week, Mac Andrew. What do you make of his game? Like some of those efforts in the the goal line were pretty poor. What do you think?
Did we pay too much too soon? Probably. You're investing a lot of trust that he's going to become something. It can easily be a very bad contract. The money is probably not my issue so much as the money over the time. Like that's, I think it's 10 or 11 million over 9 years or something like that. Yeah. It's the fact we're locked up into that in 9 years. If it was 3 million over 2 or it was 4.5 over 3, it doesn't make me worry so much. In 3 years' time, you clear some dead money, you move on. But
It's quite ironic, really. Like, it's probably the game last year where he kicked the match winner against the Bombers to get that contract, and now this time around it was probably one of his worst games. But he's a young kid; he's going to be a good player. I'm not trying to say anything like long term about him. I just think there's a bit he's got to work through around body contact. Like, he seems to want to just jump at the ball too much, and his reading of the flight is off. Like, maybe just a bit more, but. Maybe it's Collins wasn't there too. You're missing the other bloke. What's number 10? What's his name?
Ballard. Charlie
Ballard. So maybe when he's not the first defender, maybe that changes the mix a bit too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of upside. He does offer the swingman option for us. We can swing him up the other end if needed, which we don't so much with Reed and Moyle and those sort of guys kicking around. But yeah, there is a lot of upside to him, and we've paid based on upside. If he doesn't live up to it, it'll burn us. It'll be a Jack Bowes contract all over again, and we'll trade him for pennies on the dollar. But sometimes you've got to do that. And yeah, we've locked away a lot of the big names now for at least a few years.
Very good for Gold Coast fans. Looking at Essendon, I think this is probably the big SuperCoach one this week. Zach Merritt back into the midfield and just dominated, really. 40 touches for 159. And those who held through the bit of the raucous where he was moved all around the park, getting tagged everywhere. It's nice to have this big spike score, isn't it, Hurls?
Yeah, and I think next week it's anyone who's got him, and I know Broads you do, it's just a VC or a C guaranteed next week. He loves playing Richmond. They can't stop him. So any midfield that's going to let him do what they let him do on Saturday, and that probably Richmond will let him do next week, we know how good he is. He's going to carve them up. It's more the round 19 onwards that will tell the tale of Zach more than I know. Everyone in the media is going to go this week, back to 80-something% CBAs. See, we told you he was a midfielder. I think it's more the attention. That was the biggest thing. He got none, and you let him free, and he's going to run amok.
Gold Coast never give attention. They've got Collingwood this week, so Nick Dacos VC for a Friday night. It's just got everything written all over it.
Dacos into Zach Merritt for owners.
Yeah, pretty much, mate. You've locked it all up for me.
Sam Durham, as you spoke about, was very good back in the midfield. And a guy who one Kizzer is very happy about, Isaac Kako. The spike score.
The spike score came. Round 17.
Round 17, Isaac Kako. The right books on it.
And the like the funny part about it is, and I know we were having a joke about it in the chat, like everyone's going, we traded him out, now he got the spike score. Kizza was happy because he still held him. There's patience for you. He still had Kako and got the opportunity to bring him in. But the thing is, Essendon get, I don't know what the averages are this year, Bros. At some point in the future, you can tell us. But I reckon their inside 50s average would be somewhere around the 38 to 43 mark. This week they got 55. That's a huge difference for small forwards who are going to have pressure and stuff, right? Like if you're living on famine, you're never going to score. This week the ball was in the front half a fair bit more for Essendon, and he was able to create as well as apply pressure and hit the scoreboard. So that was the game Essendon supporters knew he was capable of, and SuperCoach fans probably were saying we haven't seen it yet. So now at least we've all seen it.
Yeah, 46 you guys normally average. So yeah, to be up to 50, pretty good. And the AFL average is 52. So yeah, you guys were really, really good. But ironically, if you look at Kako's stats like in previous games to now, it's not really changed that much. Disposals are about the same. Goal, probably some more tackles is probably the only notable thing, but nothing that would justify 50 extra points. So, hey, they decided to love him.
Yeah. Got about 600 points in 1%, I'd reckon.
It has to have. And I did love that. I was on Rookie Coaches After Dark last night, and a lot of people were going, I played the Kako loop. And I'm like, it's not a loop. It's luck. Well, if Bailey Smith plays, you're never ever going to loop.
Yeah, my Bailey Smith loop was Bo Allen. So
and let's not pretend that there's a lot of luck involved in this stuff, right? It's who you've got when, who you've got available to you at certain times. You know, some people this week had Whitfield and Baz out, and that absolutely killed them. and others had those two out, and it didn't matter because they got scores out of a Clark or a May or a Kako, and it didn't really make any difference to them. So it depends who you had to field.
Yeah, 100%. Another one who's probably going to be a bit of a big conversation piece, I know, especially for your team, Hurls, in the next couple of days. Jai Caldwell taken off pretty late in this one with a ankle injury, and Brad Scott's come out and said we weren't confident that we could bring him back on. He said he was a bit sore, and he's been sent for scans today. So once we get the scan results,
scans and Tullamarine make me extremely nervous. I'm not sure if the scanning operation that we have down there just always seems to say TBC, and they don't come back. But I think those like me who are owners were pretty happy because we first thought it might have been a hammy, and given Caldwell's hammy history, it would have been disaster if that was the case. But being an ankle, look, it can still be syndesmosis and it can still be really bad. But let's hope that it's no structural damage, no syndesmosis, and it's a standard ankle for, maybe play this week or miss one, then we can hold him. Because the hard part now is if you're like me and you're down to less than, I've got one trade, some people got none, or some people have got 2 or 3, and you got Caldwell, you can't afford it to be longer than a 1 weeker. So hopefully we get some news soon that he's not missing, or if he is missing, it's only one.
100%. Yeah, we pray for as an Essendon fan myself. We're praying that it's fine because he's influential for us. Jordan Ridley in his first game back was pretty good with an 83. Zach Johnson, who's been very, very good basically since he's come into the AFL with a 79. Setterfield was all right in this one, 77. Nick Martin, he's an interesting one. So a 68 in this one, sort of moving between different roles back to his sort of, spike score role. Flanders, are you worried if you're a Nick Martin owner, just how with the inconsistency of him?
Yes, but you had to be aware of that when you bought him. If you buy a Nick Martin, if you buy a Chad Warner, you buy a Shea Bolton, you're buying spikes. You buy the average, you know the average you're going to get. He's going to average anywhere between 95 to a 105 for the rest of the year, probably close to the 105 end. But he's going to spit you out the 68s, and he's also going to spit you out the 150s to get you your average. He's not going to be a track or someone like that just punches in 90s most weeks, then gives you a 120. He is going to give you some pretty crap floor scores, and you just got to be aware of it.
Yeah.
He did the same last year.
Fair call. I think the worry for me was more that this was one of the games I would have expected a big score because Gold Coast don't put time into anyone. And he just didn't get the score because he wasn't really influential in the game at all. Like it was a weird game. It was one of his worst 22 disposal games, I thought.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a very fair call.
Anyway, but I agree with you. 105 is about the average, and then next week he might get 150 against Richmond, and you'll go, "Geez, I'm happy, and I've got another good score." So,
he's had 3 scores for the year over 145, 2 145s and a 163, and he's on his year average is 105, and he's had 2 sub tons, in round 14, round 15, and before that it was 3 tons. Before that, a 95. He's got a 53 in there, but he still gets you a 105 because he goes stupid high when he goes high.
Yeah, 100%. Archie May in this one, 3 quick goals, made the punters club pretty happy, and he was a, sort of the if you had to get one more downgrade option, it was probably him this week. On the bubble, you're probably happy with the 65. I know I got him a couple of weeks back for his 83, so I was happy with that. And this 65, I felt like could have been more at the time. With Richmond next week, I might even field him.
I think the other one, and we'll get to their game later, but the other one who people bought in that spot was probably Tayru, the Flying Viking, who probably looks a better pick, even though he was 60 or 70 grand more expensive as well. So
have a bit of a chat about him because I'm sure there'll be some very happy people with him, including myself. I do love him. One last quick one on Essendon. Who wants to go to the Div 4 game somewhere in Melbourne where Archie Perkins will be, because he's not going to be playing AFL next week.
I think if he's not joined by one Ben Hobbs, I'll be disappointed. They're both in all sorts, aren't they?
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a chat for another time, and for probably you to have with another bunch of Essendon fans on Twitter, like you usually do.
Come and join us on Twitter and talk about Ben Hobbs and Archie Perkins if you like. It'll be real uplifting stuff.
If you want a good time, it's not even if you're an Essendon fan. Just go join the Essendon chat group and just watch Hurls and all those boys have a good chat about who shit on Essendon and what we can improve on. Because
I did fleece the boss man in the keeper league and got Archie Perkins in a second round for Van Rooyen in a fourth earlier in the year. So absolute fleecing.
The second rounder is the most value out of everything.
So much.
Gold Coast side of things, we're spending a bit of time on this game actually, but I think it's pretty fair that we're all associated with the teams. Noah Anderson, you said you brought him in, Hurls. He was good. He was real good.
I was shitting myself at half time. He looked like he's going to really kill me. I thought I've cursed another one. I'm doing a Tim Mitchell here, and I've cursed someone else I brought in. But yeah, what a second half! I think they put the stats up on one of the shows tonight. I think he had 20 disposals, 2 goals, 5 score involvements, all in the second half. He just ripped us apart. So that was what I bought him for. I was expecting maybe that to happen for the whole game, but anyway, I'll take it.
How's this one? Perkins and Hobbs would suit playing for Carlton.
Geez, they would actually. They would.
And just back on Noah Anderson, Broads. When I was down in Melbourne, me and you went and watched a Gold Coast St Kilda game, and Noah Anderson, he is unreal to watch in person. And there's another guy who we'll speak about in the St Kilda game when we get to in Masai Wang and Miller, who you were talking about as well, Hurls. When you see those sorts of players live and you realise actually how good they are, Noah Anderson's unreal. And as a Gold Coast man, you got to be happy, Broads.
The gut running is unreal. I think I said the other week on the podcast, Raul, Anderson 1-2, 2-1. It doesn't matter which way we picked them. We got both of them. Yes, Anderson technically picked 2, but he's far more valuable to us than Raul because his gut run throughout the whole game is just elite. He just runs and is in the right spots and he wills the team. And then he's adding the leadership and captaincy to the team, which is just outrageous.
I think what they do though, Broads, is they balance beautifully. And this is one of the things that I've been critical of Essendon for a long time. I made the same comment watching today's game about Melbourne. When your midfield is all dour and they're all the same, you can't compete in AFL anymore. You have to have the ball winners and you have to have the gut runners and the spread midfielders. If you don't have both, you can't compete. All the good teams have both. And I think that's why these two together are so good because they complement each other so well.
Oh, exactly. And I think Collingwood do it really well there. And we have Took Miller as well for that class as well. And Collingwood do it very well with Dacos, Pendlebury, and then, they'll have somebody rough and guts, Ned Long or something like that at the moment. Someone to get the ball, someone to run the ball, and somebody to, be able to be just all class.
Definitely.
100%. Joel Jeffrey, who was pretty extraordinary in this one. He's one random spike score for the month, where if you go back and look at all his scores in his whole career, he always seems to have a random monthly spike score. So there you go. Took Miller, he's a phenomenal player as well. 119 for him. Johnny Noble, who has been a fantastic acquisition for Gold Coast, 29 touches for 106.
I brought him in this week. Mate. Yes.
You brought in Johnny Nobes.
Yeah,
and, 106. Take that.
Yeah.
At 472k, he's definitely on a bit of a comeback after having a bit of a dry patch the past few weeks. I think it's fair to say.
Pretty much.
Fiorini, who's starting to bring that VFL form into AFL. Bodie Hewland with a ton as well. Ned Moyle for his first game of the season. I'm fairly sure, right? No, first game of the season.
Second, right. He played up in Darwin.
He did. That's right. I remember now. Yeah, 99 for him.
He always plays in Darwin.
Yeah. Matty Rowell, 17 tackles. I thought he was going to do it. I thought he was going to break the record of 20 in this one. And you said it before. Him and Anderson work so well together. Another guy who, once again, could have had a bigger game. He's getting the ball a lot more, but Sam Flanders, 4 kicks, 20 handballs was sort of the big reason why he only got 76 in this one. I know some people brought him in. We sort of preached to the choirs about not bringing him in. No,
please don't. No.
Why do we talk about this bloke every week? He's irrelevant in SuperCoach, and we keep talking about him.
I'd buy Bailey Humphrey before him.
I still like him.
If he gets traded and plays halfback or centre bounce mid for another club, let's talk about him every week. But until let's just forget about it.
I think I'm still stuck in last year. To be fair with you, he's lost 300k. It's unreal from last year. And looking further down the list, Oscar Adams debuted in this one in place of Sam Collins. I feel like he did okay. Besides that, not too much else going on SuperCoach wise. Geelong Richmond. Now the big story in this one was obviously the late out of Bailey Smith, and the sort of what could have been for a few of these Geelong guys, especially one Max Holmes, who 36 touches was probably best on ground, barring a few. Only the 100 SuperCoach points, and captainers like myself wouldn't be too pleased about how big it could have been.
No, a lot of butchering. I don't know.
Yeah.
His disposal efficiency probably doesn't show it, but he had a lot of those disposals where he was clear on his own and just missed the target by 10 meters. And I think you get really punished in SuperCoach for those ones. And he had a few of them. So it just was one of them. By the time, the game was over early. So once you're behind the 8 ball in SuperCoach, it's hard to get scoring late, I think. So that probably hurt him a bit as well.
Yeah. It's a killer for him.
100%. Brian Myers was really good in this one, 135. Zuthri had a game with me and Kizza know that he can have 133. Jezza Cameron, who could have gone ginormous if he turned those 5 behinds into goals. But 131 for people that brought him in as sort of the cheaper key forward pod type of F6. You'd be happy with that game. But this is sort of the game you expect him to have if you're buying, the key forward spike scores.
Absolutely. And he'll have some, right? This is one of those ones, we said it in the preview show, if you were shopping in that price range and wanted to go a bit spicy, Cameron, with the draw that they've got, was one that you could probably go. But you're not going to expect this every week because he's a key forward. And like we've seen with Darcy, he'll get some 60s and 70s as well when he has a game where he just kicks a couple and doesn't get the disposals. But in this game, he had 9 shots at goal, got 130 points, and they've got a blessed run on the way home. He's going to get a few good scores, I would imagine.
Yeah, SuperCoach Grand Final is against Richmond, so that's just a ton waiting to happen.
I don't want to play anyone who owns Jezza in that one. That'll be for sure. Tommy Atkins, 17 tackles, 106. He's just a freak. We've always known that he can tackle his ass off, and he did it in this one. Reece Stanley with a good game, 100. Paddy Dangerfield, who a few people were having a thought about bringing in this week, Hurls, as a sort of the cheap forward option. 13 touches, 2 goals for a 96.
He was okay. He played a bit of midfield. Yeah. I just couldn't do it if I was tossing up between a cheap forward. Cameron, I'd go over him, and he's a key forward, and I don't really like key forwards. So Dangerfield's going to get some rests, isn't he? He came off at one point and we were umming and ahhing, is he going to go back on and that? So it's just not someone I would want to buy into. But the score was okay. If you bought him, you're probably going to say, all right, well, at least he got 96, but he should have probably got more against Richmond. But for those stats, it's probably a good score.
Yeah, that's fair. And one of the biggest stories in this game, Georgie Stevens coming in for his debut. And you said it before in the chat, in the WhatsApp chat, Hurls, when Geelong players are ready to debut, they're ready.
Yeah, they do it better than everyone. They hold them back. They develop them. I mean, and look, shout out to our mate Azza, who's a massive Geelong fan in the chat, and he has been saying for weeks, we need to bring Stevens in and all of that. And this is what happens when you're patient. They're ready. They come in. They bring him in against Richmond. He has to just do a job, and he did the job really well. I think, he might play some games on the run home. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not a regular, because he's an inside mid, and inside mids that are 20 years old are few and far between in the AFL. So I wouldn't be surprised if they play him sparingly, but he's ready to play. He's shown that. I think he's ahead of, what was their other top pick that they got? Nevitt and the other guy they got with Bose when they got the pick 7. Can't remember his name. He was Jai Clark. I think he's ahead of both. I think he's ahead of both of them from what I saw of this game. I think he's got a few more tricks than those two.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And he was racking them up in the VFL. Basically, he's been the top disposal guy for Geelong for the past 2 seasons in the VFL at a young age. So he was definitely ready for this opportunity, and he took it with both hands. That's for sure. Further down the Geelong list, Tommy Stewart buyers and owners wouldn't be really happy with this one. Bit of a down game for him, 72, but was it more of just a case, Broads, of the ball just wasn't back there enough, or was it a Tom Stewart issue? Or
no, I think they're actually really, really good. Tom Stewart loves to sit off like very, very deep in D50 and be used to switch the ball. They don't like to switch sort of in front of D50. They want to go back through D50, and that's how Tom Stewart gets a lot of those marks and then gets an effective forward kick. But they actually push a lot of pressure, forward pressure. As Richmond, they did that really well. So it just limited Stewart's marks. I think this week there's 5. He's a 9, 10, 12 mark guy for this sort of game. So he just missed out on a bunch of points there.
I tend to remember him kicking in from inside the square a few times too. I don't know if that's backed up by stats, but I just remember that because I was watching him for a same game multi, and he was burning me.
Yeah, he had 5 kick-ins and 3 were kicked from inside the square. 3 were only played on from, and Lawson Humphries is just bad. He only played. Actually, Lawson Humphries.
I've got a bone to pick with Lawson Humphries with him not playing on in the square. He doesn't do it so much. His stats on the season: 52 kick-ins, 35 play-ons for a 67% play-on percentage. He pisses me off.
He's costing himself disposals, the Muppet.
It's so annoying.
Had 5 that he didn't play in from. Zach Guthrie 6. Mark O'Connor had 2 on the weekend.
The worst part about it, Hurls, and I'll tell you what it is. He'll have 13 touches or something. You'll put him for 15, and the touches that he doesn't have is him not running out of the square.
Yeah, hasn't same game multis just ruined the way we watch footy? A guy can have 27. A guy can have 27 touches, and then he'll stay in the square, and he won't play on for 2 of them, and we'll hate him for it. But anyway, it's all
unreal. As Corey says here, Jack Martin was getting the disposal marks, and Jack Martin was good in this one for an 84. He had 25 touches, 9 marks. So
he's been good for those who went with him at the 150k. I think if you've got him sitting on the bench there in the forward line, he's been a really good little buy.
Yeah, 100%. Looking at Richmond, there's not too much to go over, but I think we can all safely say that Maurice Frioli probably isn't the sub next week.
Yeah, this was a really different. This is a different game for him. I don't know if you have the sort of what the profile normally looks like, Broads, but to me, he looked like he was getting up a lot higher up the ground than any other game I've seen him in. He was nowhere near forward 50 most of the time, and he looked really competent. He looked really good in that role. So maybe they can persist with that. Maybe he doesn't have the tank to do it for full games, but I think there's something there if he can build that engine.
I think what it was for him was the fact that he came on to replace a Sam Layla, who they intended to. They said earlier in the pre-game conference that they were going to limit his inside mid minutes.
Limited midfield time.
Yeah, at the start, and then later on in the second half, then wind him into more minutes, and that's how they'd obviously allocated it out throughout the game. So they needed somebody to take that over, and I wouldn't be surprised if I have a look at Richmond CBAs if Morris.
No, it wouldn't have been Morris. I'm pretty sure they just kept Jack Ross's up from
Jack Ross stayed up. 66. So,
yeah,
but like
from the week Lawler was out. Yeah,
because of that they used Rioli in the Layla role, so they had him up and pushing forward, like pushing high up.
That was bloody sad to see Lawler get the hammy again. Hopefully he can get that right because he looked to be bloody good when he was playing. Like he just needs to get a run at it next year. Hopefully he can go back, do whatever he has to do, whether they go for a normal rehab or an operation or something, who knows, but hopefully we see him next year because he looks like he's a bloody good player.
Yeah, there is a bit coming out for Richmond today. Taj Houghton is 100% basically locked into a debut this week, and the kid's a freak, so just keep an eye on him. He probably would have gone top 5 in the draft this year if he didn't do his. He went pretty high anyway, but if he didn't do his ace, he probably would have gone top 5 pretty comfortably. And Lawler's probably done for the year, they reckon. Which it does suck for him. It's the third, hammy complaint sort of thing in the same hammy, left hammy. So you probably
that's a problem.
That's like operations.
Are we going to see Jaden Short anytime soon? And a loaded question. The reason I ask, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Sam Banks, but I really want to see Short and Banks in the same team to see what it does to his scoring before we all get sucked in next year and then Short kills him and we buy Banks and he's not as good. Are we expecting to see them together?
I don't know. I think they're probably more persisting on the Banks type of role. Like Short's been healthy for a couple of weeks. He played VFL today.
Really?
I don't know if he comes back, to be honest.
Just selfishly, from an SC point of view, I'd love to see 3 or 4 weeks with them together so we can just see what kind of impact that might have on Banks, because otherwise Banks is looking like a great option for next year when we start planning our teams for 2026. He's a bloody impressive halfback. Don't
worry, mate. He's been in my notes doc for about 2 months for my next year team, so I'm on the same page as you. Ryan Mansell, good game from him, 22 touches, 3 goals. Taranto was all right, 89, Nank, 91. Looking further down the list, we've already spoke about Lawler, subbed out very early on with a 4. Yeah, not too much else to really touch on for Richmond. They're sort of a bit of a nothing SuperCoach team nowadays until they're really...
Noah Bolter thought he was back. It's back on the streets in... Where was it? On the Murray?
The Murray,
or something, wherever that was, where he got his he was trying to do that to who'd he whack? He only got a fine for it too. Anyway,
he's a pretty hefty fine too. It was like $7,000.
He's out for the next 2 because it's nighttime anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I kept seeing the things during the week about if he got stuck in Melbourne traffic, it could have been real bad. He would have cut it real close in this one, I reckon, getting home. So we'll move on from that game. We've got a few more games left. We've got 4 more. But just quickly, we'll get the American guy to have a chat about our Patreon so you can get in for whether it be this year, end of this year, BBL, NBL, NBA, that's all starting back up. And, we'll be around talking about next year. But, I'll let him explain it all.
Want to take your SuperCoach game to the next level? Insight Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as weekly expert Q&As, team, trade, and captaincy advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
100%. Join the Patreon. Join all the good things that we're doing over there for the Insight community. And just
the beauty, Deadly, the beauty of us, which you just touched on, which I think is worth calling out. Like, yes, this is the AFL channel, but there's some great stuff happening in Insight. It's not just AFL. There's NFL about to kick off. Yeah. We've got NBL about to kick off. NBA won't be that far away. You can join any of the sports. You can become a Patreon. You can join the chat groups. You can join private leagues for all of them. So jump in and have a look and join up. It's well worth it.
100%. And Yeah, just before we jump into this Brisbane Port Adelaide game, Hurls, I want your quick thoughts on this. Blues versus Lions Thursday night. Get to start your weekend off nicely.
It's fantastic, isn't it? Finally, the AFL scheduling department are looking after us, and hopefully we can see a nice big margin on a Thursday night, and just listen to all the convo about Vossi and whether he'll get sacked. That maybe his old club will force him to be sacked from his new club. That would be quite ironic and beautiful.
Could even be double happiness. You've got Richmond this week, so if there's any chance of you guys pulling out a win,
if Carlton get beat and Essendon win, which doesn't happen in the same weekend too often, that'd be very nice. Flanders, it'll be a good weekend.
Brisbane Port Adelaide, big game for Zach Bailey in this one. Hit huge spike, scored 26 disposals, 5 goals, 141 SuperCoach points for him. He's sort of a guy who he might land in the Joel Jeffrey spike score monthly category. He just has a couple massive ones every month or so. But yeah, it's sort of a guy that you can't really look at when it comes to forwards, just because he's in Brisbane. Lockie Neal was good in this one, 29 touches, 126. The luggage, who sort of the one that got away for all of us, I suppose. He keeps on keeping on. Unreal. 29 touches, a goal, 122. He's, what is he now? He's still the top 3 mid. Unreal.
Killing it. And he got tagged and he didn't matter.
Yeah, didn't matter. He's a gun. Dane Zorko, 100 in this one. Looked a lot worse than it could have been. It looked very ordinary to start. Will Ashcroft, 95. Josh Dunkley, 93. Not too much to touch on for Brisbane. That all the guys you expect to performed. That's just about it, really. Port Adelaide, Connor Rosie was real good, 131. Zach Butters, 113. They were both good. Bergman, he's one that keeps on keeping on.
Just a good footballer, isn't he?
Every time he plays in the midfield, it's just good things happen. Just how it is.
Yeah, I don't know what Ken was talking when he said he was going to shift him back last week. Then he said he was going to shift him to the back line after he told Heaney he was sick. So be interesting, but he's kept him in there.
Yeah. And he definitely performed well again. Looking further down the Port Adelaide list, Jason Horne-Francis. He's an interesting one.
That's one word for it.
I think the conversation was on Twitter today, Hurls, where you were speaking to someone and said Horne-Francis has been great since you traded out, but you don't care. You're thrilled.
He's one of those. He's one of those guys that I traded him out the week before he got the 153, and I've felt nothing but relief since I pressed the trade out button. I don't care if he gets 120 every week. I don't want to watch him. I don't enjoy watching him. I don't enjoy the way he goes about it. And maybe that's just my own bias kicking in here, but there's nothing about him that I enjoy watching. So he's irrelevant to me. And if he gets 70s every week, for those who held him, I feel sorry for you, but I'm not on it.
That is true. Tommy Bergman did end up in the back line after Rats went down. You're right.
Did you hold Flanders? Have you still got him?
I held Bergman? The whole crew, mate. I held the whole crew. No, not Bergman. I held Pickles. He's still hanging out, but he's not an enjoyable watch at all. But I play it a lot by the numbers, less by the personalities. And
look, this is one that the numbers could swing, and it could be just that kind of thing. Like, the bloke on the other team is the same for me this year, and I've held him all the way along only because I've got no trades. But Zorko's been a horrible watch all year too. I'm not enjoying him either. There's just blokes. I'm not saying anything about. No. He's a really good footballer. I just don't owning him, the way he gets his points and the way he goes missing and that. It's just an ugly watch as a SuperCoach owner.
For sure, yeah. Not the guy I'm pointing at going, hey, I own Jason Horne-Francis. It's not the one I'm talking to at barbecue.
The Hurls tweet from today. I tried him out and he went to score in the 150s, and I still rated as one of my best trouts of the year. Some players you just don't want to own and watch for me. And for me, he's top of the list. I think you summed it up pretty well just in that tweet, Hurls.
That's it. The one guy we do need to shout out, and he was one of, I don't know if he's the biggest, but one of the biggest cash cows for the year, like Peppa Pig, and unfortunately looks like he's done a knee. And not the same knee that he did last time, but still it's a knee, and that's unfortunate. So you never want to see a bloke go down like that, especially he's sort of has a dead set crack. Like you're not going to get a bloke who just gives his all more than him. So to see him go down like that, and he was having a cracking game too at the time.
One of the best on for sure at the time.
There was one of the players they described him as he came in like a missile. And you see him as a flash come past Harris Andrews. Harris just has to hit the brakes and stop, and then gets tackled for holding the ball. And Sam did not touch him. There is not maybe a pressure act is the best he gets on the stat sheet for it. Other than that, he just runs through like a missile and gets a free kick for the team.
It's unfortunate for Sam Powell-Pepper, and we have joked about in the past about how we traded him out, and we're a bit salty about it. Broads held him, but us guys trade him out, but you never want to see a guy do a knee, especially a guy who's done a knee in the past and has to do all that rehabbing again. So we wish the best for SPP over here.
This is left field. No one owns him, so no one cares. But I bought this man in, Asava Radaglia, into my keeper league. He won me 3 games in a row. He saved my season. He won me 3 in a row, and now he has to say goodbye. Unfortunately, he got injured. Gave me a 5 this week, so he has to go. So, Asava, thank you for your 3 weeks. You're now going to be gone out of my Silver Top Early Keeper League. But thank you.
And Vicentini subbed out pretty much instantly in this game as well on a 0. So, plenty of injuries coming out of Port for this one. And, just a bit unfortunate for them. That's really about it for this game. They definitely put in a good shift, though, last night. Hawthorn St Kilda, I think we'll pretty swiftly talk about the main man in this one. 43 touches. What could have been if he kicked those 3 goals? Nasai Wangeen-Miller. And, we've all said it now. We've all seen him live. Freak. He's a genuine superstar of the game. And the fact that he's only 21 is unreal.
Sam Mitchell said this after the game, and I don't often agree with Sam Mitchell. He's not my favourite person in the world, but he said that he knew that he was good, but then when he saw him, it just went to another level. And that was the same for me last week. Like I knew Nass was a good player, and I went to the St Kilda Freo game and watched him live last week. And my goodness, the running that he does. We talk about gut running about Nando's before. This guy is just a freak. He just runs everywhere, and he's so good to watch. So that he's getting those ceiling scores now is great as an owner. I'm loving watching him play. He's the opposite end. He's one of my, if I was to list my most favoured, he would be right up in the top of that list.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Also now D1 for all those playing at home.
Oh,
he's actually D1.
And just quickly before we move on to the next guy who's had another massive game, do what Soggy Moggy said. How hard is it to click that like button, guys? Seriously, click it.
You know what? I don't want to sound like I'm old and I'm untechnological or whatever you want to call it. But I found it really hard. I found it really hard to find the like button when I was trying to click at that time when Horse needed.
That was good.
It took me friggin' ages.
Did you see that, bro? He took 15 minutes on his iPad just to find. I
couldn't find the like button for the life of me. So Soggy Moggy. I want to come to the defense of the community out there because I think it is bloody hard to find.
If you like Hurls and you're watching on YouTube, swipe away from the full screen or escape if you're on the computer. It's just below the screen to the left. Click it.
There you go.
Don't worry, I just liked it while you guys were going through that. Loaded up
there you go. Listen to this bloke. Listen to this bloke.
And you know what? Get 100 likes and Hurls will wear a Collingwood jumper.
Frank, it would need 4 million likes for me to wear a Collingwood jumper. I'll give you the tip.
Well, he set a target at least.
He set a target. We'll start with 100.
If we can get 4 million likes, I'll wear a Collingwood jumper. There you go.
I got Deadly in a Gold Coast scarf for a free ticket. So go on.
Hey, I was happy to do that.
There's
Right.
there's levels, Flanders. There's Gold Coast Scarf, and then there's like Collingwood that's getting down a little bit lower in the order.
I think that the girl of the Hurls household would avidly enjoy that.
She would. She knows it will never happen as well.
Alrighty, back to the footy. Max Hall, what's doing the past 2 weeks, Flanders? Give me some numbers, because where's this come from? He's gone 144 this week, and it was a 120 or something the week before.
He's doing everything. That's the only logical answer here. He's just everywhere. Someone actually described it. Someone described it as the NFL post-bye hump, and apparently it's a massive NFL thing. Rookies that get past the bye then seem to go off. His disposals seem to be up. Meters gained are a fair way up. Effective disposals. There's not really one thing that's just screaming off the charts at me here. Contested possessions are up.
I bought Maxi Hall when he was 119k, thankfully, and he scored the 85 against Richmond. Made me some good bank. I made about 200k on him before I sold him off just after the round 6 game where he scored the 48 or whatever, and then he went on to make a bit more money after scoring a few decent times. And I know most people sold him off. If you still own Max Hall, either you're not playing the game anymore, or you're blessed. We'll put it that way. Most people sold up to the 28 that he scored against Gold Coast in round 11.
It's almost like Ross figured out that a couple of these blokes can play. Like even Windhager, now he's not tagging. He looks like he can play footy. Like why do coaches just stifle blokes sometimes? Is that what's happening here at St Kilda? Like the last couple of weeks, they look like a few of these guys who we just didn't think had any attacking flair whatsoever have all of a sudden been given the ability to run a bit, and they look all right. Yeah,
that's the best way you can put it. After the bye, Maxi Hall was 298k. Right now, he's 399 with 3 games after that. He's made 100k with a negative 27 break even or something like that.
Yeah, nuts.
Unreal. Ryan Marshall was good in this one. Just did a bit of everything. 135. Jack McRae, 26 touches, 10 tackles for a 116. Jack Steele, who I know a few people owned as a pod, really got saved by a few tackles in this one. And as you said, Hurls, Windy, he looks good now. He's not really tagging as much, 91. But one of the biggest stories the past couple of weeks has been the flying Viking, Alex Taru. And he's a dead set gun, isn't he, fellas?
Looks fantastic.
Yeah. How about that overhead mark very early on in the game that no one could stop talking about all game?
Just flies at the footy, like, to be honest, like the ex-Saints skipper, Nick Riewoldt. I haven't seen someone just completely disregard his own safety and fly for the ball like him since probably Riewoldt used to do it every week. I think Saints fans will be loving that they've got that bloke. He's a ripper.
Unreal. Yep. Jack Sinclair, 72. He's been so ordinary the past couple of weeks, and I don't know if you can give me some clarity or something here, Broads. But even
help us out here, Broads. What is happening to this?
What's going on? What's going on with him? And maybe it might be a topic of conversation for Tuesday. And if you want that to be the case, then tell us to piss off, and we can let you do that for your show.
No. It's a fair call. And to be honest, I don't have the answers at this point. I think Naz being a bit of the focus, and as much of the focus is a fair call. Reality is between the two of them, they put up 230 points. So it's 115 each. So, if you can divide between the two, and if you own both like I do, you're getting 230, 240 points out of two players. And I couldn't care if it's 155 and 72 or if it's 120 and 120. It doesn't matter in that aspect. I'll take the ceiling actually. But
that's actually not a bad way to look at it.
Fair way to look at it.
Unless you're captaining the one that gets 72, then you're in a bit of trouble. But otherwise,
exactly. It's the same as owning Ash and Whitfield. If you own Ash and Whitfield, it's used in a lot of, draft formats where you have the ruck and then you have the backup ruck on the bench for that same team. If one goes down, you've got the other one. One scores well, you've got the other one. So,
Yeah.
But I will have a bit of a deep dive to see into Sinclair this week, and I'll bring it up on Tuesday. It's a big talking point that a lot of people have been questioning is why. And a lot of it's the discrepancy. You can see he did 92 fantasy points, but only 72 Supercoach. So it's probably coming down to his impact on the game.
So, Rhodes, hold on. I started this because I wanted to talk about it later, but I'll bring it up now. Kizza said when you were talking good things about Gold Coast, Rhodes is talking too much sense, I reckon. And he's now said, Rhodes, you're talking too much sense again. I don't like it. So,
I've seen his team and
dumb it down for the poor bastard.
Sinclair good, Wayne good, buy both.
own both good. Own one that's going shit bad. Own one that's going good, also good.
St Kilda halfback is good. Own both.
Speaking of blokes who are going shit, just plain shit. We owned him for a bit there, Hurls. Isaac Keeler, how good was that 1 week? Because now he's getting one touch for 14 points.
I'll tell you the one good thing that Isaac Keeler was for me this week. You know how when you get into the last game of the round and you've got your projection that's telling you you're going to score something, but then you forget that you've got to drop off your lowest score because it's the 23rd drops off. At least I didn't have to take much off when I just had to get rid of a 14 and my opponent had to get rid of a 60. I knew that I had those 50 points up my sleeve. So there was one positive to him, but otherwise he's invisible for most of the game. But I think he's got ability, but yeah, he's no use for us in SuperCoach.
100%. That's really all for St Kilda wise SuperCoach relevancy. A guy you've sort of preached to the choirs for the past couple months, to be honest with you, Hurls, has finally really delivered in Lloyd Meek, 140 with 59 hitouts in this one. And I know you were sort of thinking about going there yourself, but it's sort of the 3 ruck scenario and owning the big guys. But you were telling people who were looking for a bit of a pod to jump on him, and it's definitely paid out.
He had the wrong buy for me. If he had have had the buy the week before, I would have bought him instead of TDK, and I would have ran 3 rucks for the rest of the year. But I couldn't because of the week he was off. I think he had the round 15 buy, it might have been, and that was the week I needed to make the move on that last one, and I stupidly bought TDK in. But I think he was value. Like, he's not going to get 140 every week, but ruck's a bit of a cheat code. We see all of them get good scores at some point, and so when you see a ruck, I think it's another lesson for next year. When you see a ruckman who's in that top bracket get down to the 400k mark, you can jump on safely because they come good.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. Josh Battle, good little spike score for him, 124. Jarman Impey, 122. John Newcomb, 99. Not too much really relevancy-wise in Hawthorn. They're just sort of a SuperCoach team now. They haven't really got one guy that shines like most others do week in, week out, SuperCoach-wise. So they're sort of hard to talk about.
Even their stats, look at them. They just share everything so much. Like, there's so many get between 17 and 22 touches. So that's always going to translate then to mediocre SuperCoach scores. So that's just the way they play, the way they're set up. A bit like Collingwood, they're similar, except for Dacos. There's no huge outliers there. The ruck occasionally, but most of the others are around the 70 to 95 mark. Hawthorn are in a bit of a similar boat.
This is probably unique being this, like, in AFL SuperCoach, we have both formats, but in most other international sports, you don't. They're a perfect draft team, and Collingwood are very much the same. There is nobody notable there, so everybody who plays Classic doesn't even care about the two teams. So a lot of those players slide in draft format. So, like, draft is obviously still really, really relevant all year round because you can just pick up as much waiver stuff as you want. They are absolutely elite to pick them up because so many people don't know the name because they don't have them in Classic.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I picked up Chol on waivers about 7 or 8 weeks ago. He's been really good for me. He's good. This week was one of his lower weeks, but he's got some tons in there. But yeah, for Classic, they're no use, but they're really good for draft. I think it's a good call out, bros.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we've seen huge spike scores from basically everyone on Hawthorn in different weeks, but you can't bank on it being consistent enough that, we can back it in. like James Warple scored 39 this week, and I have no doubt that next week he could score 120 if the game just falls in his favour. So it's just how it is for most of the people in Hawthorn. So it's a hard team to talk about for classic wise. And besides really Meek, who right now is the only real option, I reckon. There's just no one really.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. So as we move into today's games, we have got Sydney versus Fremantle to kick this one off. And Lockie Whitfield sadly didn't play this week. Didn't rock on the plane, and it wouldn't be right if we didn't give Hamo a bit of a shout out for all the work he does as a major sponsor for us. But yes, if you do need help with all your finance, insurance, and all the above, home loans, Hamo's the guy. He knows what he's on about. And if you give him a ring, tell him Adelaide are sick because he's an Adelaide fan, big Adelaide fan. He'll sort you out for free as long as you mention you come from us. So he's helped a lot of the guys, the experts for Inside Out, and he can help you out pretty easily too, free of charge. So for today's games, Brody Grundy. Yeah, he's good.
Yep.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
he's great.
Move on.
Yeah. He's gonna be too pricey. That's gonna be his biggest problem now. Like, unless you are just willing to break it all up, he's $727,000, and his break even's only 126 playing St Kilda. Unless you somehow, and I don't know who has the ability to get $727,000, he's unreachable now. But for all those who jumped on, I know Squiddy notably jumped on that I know of. But for the guys who did jump on, you got a pod to the end of the year that's just going to be absolutely elite.
Have you seen, Brody, some of Champion Data's, like the projected scores that they've got for Grundy the rest of the season?
Oh, yeah.
His worst is 129 against Brisbane.
You see the West Coast one?
185 projection.
It's actually annoying though. Like when you get the projected scores and you start off the weekend saying you're going to get 2,500, and then it just kills you slowly through the week because there's no way these blokes are getting it right. I'm a huge advocate for don't get too creative with this stuff. Just give us their average as their projection. We don't need to get fancy here. Just put their average up. If they go up above it one week, great. They'll go below it the next week. But just put their average. Let the projection be their average scores, and then we don't get all our hopes up thinking we're getting 2,500, and then all of a sudden we get to 2,200 and we cry for the weekend. I think it's shit. Anyway, there's my gripe for SuperCoach Gold.
It's fair enough.
Biggest downside, he's going to get to. They're projecting him to get to 781.
That's what I'm saying.
Not even going to. Say.
He's going to get to 785k.
But the worst part is he's probably not even going to be affordable next year either. He's averaging 120 so far this year. He's going to bump that to 125 the rate he's going easy. So he's going to be 650, 700 grand. And unless I'm buying a Sherry and Gornsey and the other guy that year on year's hit it, I'm not paying that money for.
I'm not paying that much for Brody Grundy.
So, yes, it's set and forget, but I would rather buy somebody in 550 like a DCAM or even a Romo, TDK if he's exclusive, number one ruck, like all that sort of stuff. I'd much rather pay 550 there than 650 for Grundy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Errol Gordon. And
Did you buy him, Deadly? You were going to buy him? Did you buy him?
No, didn't have the trades. I didn't have the trades. 100% I would have.
You have the trades, you just won't use them.
I have one trade left. Unless I trade a Primo, I'm not getting to Errol Gordon, especially now. But yeah, he's a genuine superstar. And even the goal he kicked, I didn't get a chance to watch today's games. I was working all day, but I watched for about 10 seconds in the break room, and I witnessed probably the worst advantage call of all time into Errol Gordon. Just basically a standstill snap from 50. He's unreal. And
Sydney are just going to destroy some of the top 9 teams' hopes throughout the run home, aren't they? They've been shit all year. They get their players back now. They're going to just beat some of the good teams and make it really hard for them. So, and from a SuperCoach point of view, I think this was probably the biggest swing game of the weekend. Like so many people had all these Freo blokes like Sarong who got tagged, Clark that got sort of tagged Jackson, who did okay, but not what he was doing. And Sydney are just going to do that to us every week. They're going to be the SuperCoach killers, and it's going to piss us all off every week. You just have to hope that you don't have too many of their opposing team's players.
100%. Yeah, you're right. Jake Lloyd was good in this one. 2 goals, 20 touches for 115. Will Hayward was good, 111. Callum Mills, who, if you bought him when he was 357, you're happy with a 107. Let's just keep it that simple. Blakey, 106. Heaney. All these guys provided today, to be fair. All the Sydney guys. Even Chad, 95, you take those. Do you still own Sheldrick, Hurls, or is he gone?
I don't. I traded him out as part of my last sort of group of trades 2 weeks ago to do my upgrades. And I actually traded out both Sheldrick and Warner. Sheldrick was a great move. Warner probably not so much, but I wanted to make sure that I got the blokes in. And one of the ins that I did, or 2 of them, were Nass and McRae. So I'm comfortable with who I bought in. But yeah, Sheldrick probably has to go now if you've got him. If you were keeping him there as that M8, I think he's probably showing signs that he's going to just hover around the 60 to 80 mark, and I'd probably be thinking move him on if you've got the trades to do so.
The other part is his CBAs are dropped. Like when he was scoring well, he was getting 50s and 60s. He got 35 last week and 39 this week. So he's losing that, and he's a centre bounce guy.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. Matt Roberts was the sub. Everyone that held on to him, we were sort of preaching to sell a few weeks back and whatnot. But if you held on to him, it's pretty rotten at this point, and that he's leaking a bunch of cash now. So definitely a sell.
Is this just being done so that next year he's on all of our radars again as that defender at 470,000? I think that's what's going to happen again, isn't it?
You might be right. You might be right. I wouldn't put it past him because it's now 2 seasons in a row. But yeah, subbed on for Tommy Papley, who's just come back from an injury. He looks like he's done a hammy. It didn't look good. But so prayers up to him. On the Freo side of things, Corey Wagner, 22 touches, 6 tackles, and a goal for 107 was Fremantle's best. Brayshaw, who basically the only guy who didn't get attention this game, 103. Murphy Reed, your guy Brucey Hurls, played well, 15.
Apparently he's going to have a chance in the Rising Star. Did you hear that? Oh, you didn't see the game today.
I didn't see that, no. But,
my God, Dwayne Russell has loaded up so much onto this bloke for the Rising Star, I reckon. Every time he went near the ball, except for the one stuff up that he did where he completely butchered a shot at goal, he kept saying, oh, this guy's the Rising Star. This is why he's the Rising Star favourite. This is why he's going to... My God, Dwayne, we know you've backed him. It's okay. You don't have to tell us every time he touches it.
Give it to Archie Roberts.
His IQ's elite, but yeah.
He's a gun. I love watching him. I love watching him, except that Dwayne had to open his mouth every time he got it. That was the only thing that was pissing me off.
Luke Ryan, 88. Bailey Banfield, 87. Luke Jackson just got dominated in this one for only an 80, but I suppose you take an 80 if it's, he didn't look the best.
I think the stats are showing the last 2 weeks why they are really reluctant to make him solo ruck. Against any decent ruckman, they lose clearances when he's in the ruck. Happened last week against Marshall, happened again this week against Grundy. Sydney flogged them in the middle every time he was ruckman. But when Darcy's in the ruck and he's playing ruck rover, it turns around and they neutralised. So I think this is the problem for even next year when we think about Jackson and are we going to buy him as the ruckman? They are going to continue to play 2 rucks because he's going to get flogged when he's a solo ruckman. He's great for SuperCoach as a solo ruck, but he's not great for clearances for the team.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. Where do you sit on Jackson Flanders nowadays?
Can't be said any better than that. He's Brodie Grundy was Jackson before Jackson is what he is now, so he knew the exact way to neutralise it. He knew what he needed to do. He was neutralising him 8 years ago. That's all he was doing. So do what I hated 8 years ago.
Yeah, 100%. That's a fair call. Caleb Sarong, tagged out of this one. Only the 11 touches, which is, I don't know if you got the stats on that, but that's probably close to a career low, you'd reckon.
One clearance for the day.
That's definitely a career low for Caleb Sarong, surely.
Has to be.
Yeah, 63. It just got tagged completely out of it, and it was a vintage tag by Jordan. And yeah, Jordan Clark as well. I tell you, Braden Campbell the past 2 weeks, sort of putting that pressure, has been phenomenal. He's looked really good as sort of the tag and type of forward ish. He's like sort of half tagging, half just putting pressure on, but it's bloody working.
Yeah, wouldn't have picked him as the tagging type. He seems a bit more outside and those elite skills, but he's done the job a couple of weeks in a row now on those dangerous half backs. So they'll keep doing it while it's working.
Yeah, 100%. That's really about it for Freo. I know some people still have Neil Erasmus. Now it's probably the time to jump off if you have the trades.
Yeah.
Yep. Besides that, that's really about it. And moving into the final game for this week, Adelaide versus
on Caleb's Rock, he's only ever had 2 10 disposal games. He had one game at 11. So that's how poor today was.
Yeah, there you go. Tied for third worst game disposal wise in his career. So there you go.
Yep. And
Isaac Rankin, who I was absolutely thrilled that I sold about a month back because he had a complete role change and the likes. And he comes out and does this to me. He kicks 5 and gets 131. So I think he might be one of the reasons that I scored 2,200 and you boys scored pretty high because I'm assuming you both still own Rankin, right?
Yep. I do, but it's luck. This is not good SuperCoach management. This is complete luck. He doesn't have the role at the moment. He ain't scoring 5-1 every week and getting 131 in this role. So he's going to bite us next week or the week after because he's going to play that same role and score a 60. And he has been doing that for a while. So if you traded him out, I wouldn't be overly worried, even though, this week you're probably kicking yourself. I wouldn't be trading him in if you're looking for that last trade. No way. Not the way they're playing him at the moment.
No, not at all. Sam Berry, who's since come back into this team, has been really impressive at 106. Jake Saligo, 102.
He was good today, Saligo. I thought he was nearly their best.
Probably only behind this man, of course, Keezus. 101 for Keezus.
That goes without saying, Deadly. I didn't want to.
Yeah, come on. I'll tell you what, the fact that Horse was contemplating selling this week and didn't makes me angry.
Did you see the goal? Did you see his goal, Deadly? Have you seen that yet?
No, but I'll look after. I'll look once we're done.
Go and have a look at his second goal. It's fucking ridiculous.
That was elite. Even he said post game in the interview, and he's like, it looked like it was in slow mo from his end, and it's such a Keezus goal too.
He's a superstar. I love him. Jordan Dawson and Paitling both 25 touches, both scoring mid-90s. Rory Laird 85. This sort of average scoring for a few guys here.
It was a weird game. It wasn't a good scoring game at all. It was very spread. There wasn't. I mean, Rankin obviously got his 130, but look at the rest of them. What's next? 106 is the next best. It just was spread, like a lot of spread scores, not a lot of standouts.
Tell me, fellas, what happened to Josh Rochelle? I didn't see it.
Knee, but don't know. Looked a little more. I'm no doctor. I don't know if it looked ACL-ish. It looked more hyperextension type or collision type. So be interesting what happens. Hopefully it's not that bad.
I'm going to shoot since I've seen no news on it. That's not too bad.
Yeah, no, I've got a 16-year-old stepdaughter in the house that was in tears when it happened. So we hope that he comes good and he's back very soon.
Yeah, more of a hyperextension. Think of like a Sam Darcy when he come down from that. And then he goes back, but nowhere near as bad in the way of its deflection angle. So some technical terms there, because it's going to roast me.
For Melbourne, Jack Viney, 30 touches, 9 tackles for a 111. Trent Rivers, 23 for a 110. Frothy's May, shit bloke, but 104. Cozzy Pickett, who I was sort of looking at SC scores and the stats during this game. It seemed like he was all over the place in this one. He looks pretty good.
He's one of those ones that I know a few people in the chat were asking, like, who can I go to for that last forward? If you wanted to go a little different, he would be someone you could. He's going to be spiky. He's not going to get massive scores every week, but he's good to watch, and he plays that sort of midfield forward, kick a few goals. He's an option.
Yep. Moving further down the list, Jake Bowie, if anyone that has him or bought him, 86. Maxi Gawn, 79. Now, I did see Abs tweet out that Max Gawn had a bit of a problem at some stage and might not even come back on, but he came back on apparently, so at least that's good.
Yeah.
But
He just copped a knock, I think, in a marking contest. He might have got the wind taken out of him, and I think he's okay.
Bit of a
was
little
this just vintage Rob stoppage, Broads?
Rob was running a man-on-man tag. It was absolutely elite. He's showing off all his doctorate degrees that Rob has, but he was running a man. I watched him circling after the hit out, and Rob was just hanging on it like on the back of Max. He was running a man tag. I know we always say rucks can't get tagged unless you play Rob.
I like it. I do like it. Yeah, Rob's great. He does what no ruckman want to do nowadays. He gets down and dirty and does the extra stuff after it.
Yeah.
Now
and here's another one on the never again list. Deadly. Petrarca's just in the crap to watch category too.
I bought Petrarca 2 weeks ago.
Exactly like Pickles and like Zorko that I was mentioning from the other game. Petrarca is a horrible watch.
So I'm midway through my shift. I get a notification on my phone from John Ralph. That's now 13 goals from 41 shots for Petrarca this season. A player who once kicked 26-6 in a season has a broken radar. Now, that's not the tweet you want to be saying when you brought in a guy 2 weeks ago.
No.
And, 23 touches, 0.379 as well. Very ordinary. Clary, 76. He's just been all year. Besides that, not too much going on. I think you left an SE off the end of that. He's been arse all year, not just air. Yeah.
he's just been terrible, hasn't he? What's happened to these blokes? Is it just that they're not interested, or what? They used to be the elite SuperCoach scorers, and now they're.
What's he doing?
Terrible.
He's basically the same price he started at. He hasn't gone over 100 since round 11. Whatever.
Get Langford in the guts. Forget about these blokes. I said this about the contrast to Gold Coast before, who have the right mix. Having the midfield of Oliver, Petrarca, and Viney is just not cutting it. Get them out of there. Bring some new blokes into the middle. Put Pickett in with Langdon and one of those guys. See what happens. Maybe you'll get something a bit different. Not Langdon, Langford.
Yeah, Pickett's basically had 60, 70 plus CBAs since round 8. So they're running him. They've backed Viney's off a little bit over that time. Viney was out. They brought Rivers through there. But, Langford for that outside run is what they need.
Yeah.
That'll help.
Individually, like Viney's playing some good footy. The last 2 weeks have been good. But that collective doesn't work. It's just not up to it.
Hey, Hurls, it would be nice if they could add another midfield in the draft this year. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I know. We could lend them pick 5 if they want. Actually, you know what, Melbourne, this is Melbourne's strategy every year anyway. They will have a first-round pick because they trade their future first for a current first every year. They do it every trade period. So somehow they'll get a first-rounder because that's what they do. They just always use the futures and they buy back in, and then the future never comes.
This is the best way to sum up Melbourne. It shows how bad the D's are. Jake Milton, the milkshake, is their best key forward.
That's a good call.
Beautifully said, Gizza. I couldn't have said it better myself. Alrighty, that's all the games, ladies and gentlemen. We've already been going for an hour and 40, so we'll bust through a few questions.
We got through. That's a good effort. 1 hour 30 for the three of us. New record.
Because it was an hour 30 to get through 7 games last time.
Yeah. Horse isn't watching anyway, is he? So it doesn't matter.
No, he's no, who knows? Anyway, we'll get into some questions.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
g'day from the UK. G'day to you, good sir. Matty Granger, what just happened? Let's all agree to end the season now. And you know what? I don't know why you're Matty Granger. I'm in a few leagues with him. He scored just below 2,400 this week, and he's complaining. Count your blessings, mate. Because unreal.
This is where the season just gets interesting, Matty. It's the boys have been covering up for some people's mediocre depth, and so it's going to be interesting what happens now.
I will say, shout out, Matty Granger. Can we shut the season down already? Yeah, I'm overall ranked 379, Matt Granger.
Oh, fair dinkum.
Yeah,
he's cooking. He's cooking. He's complaining.
He might have slipped back 10 spots or something. He's not happy this week.
Oh, mate, I could only dream of the season he's having. PW, Freo played well against a highly motivated Sydney, who believe again. Good on the Swans, but Freo just as motivated, missed one. Yeah,
PW, this is far too intellectual for this podcast. Like that's a very well constructed tweet, mate. I agree. They're going to be hard to. They're going to hurt us all the way home, Sydney, because they're back to their really defensive best and offensive best now that Goulden can get the chains going.
And thank you for the great content this year, guys. Yeah. We appreciate you, PW. That's Freo's in the gun, aren't they? They got the Hawks this week. They're on the brink. They've just slipped out of the 8. So let's see if they can bounce back, or if Longmuir lasts the year if he doesn't get them going. You're shrunk with a horse emoji. So the horse has shrunk. So that's enough out of you, Pete. Fellow Gold Coast fan. And we've got the only two Gold Coast. We've got the only two Gold Coast. Holy shit! I've actually seen a Gold Coast fan. We've got two. We've got two. We've got Brody and Pete, both. One on this side of Mike, and Pete on the other side of the mic. But very, very passionate Gold Coast fans. We found the only two of them for our community. Corey Blackledge scored 2-3-1-3. Not bad with my spuds this week. Yeah, it's about par probably now. I mean, the app has opened as we've been podcasting, and I don't think. Let us know. Let us know in chat what was the number for the red arrows. Like what was par looking like? I got some green arrows for changes. So I can tell you the top score 2,700 was the weekly winner this week. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
2-3 seems about par. I was 24-10 and I was 6K. I dropped a fair amount of ranks with 2-2-1-4. So about 2,300 maybe sounds about par. Yeah. Frank was on my trajectory. Shit week 2-2-3-0. My primo scoring 60s and 80s. Yeah, can't help it. Frank, this is a really good point, and I've been saying it for the last 7 weeks because usually I'm on the other end, and a lot of the rest of you have been on the good side of it. I think the biggest difference this year has been your collective primo scores. If you get 5 or 6 get 60s and 70s, you have a shit week. And if you get 5 or 6 get the 140s, 150s, you have a great week. So it depends what and so next week might be the complete opposite. Same teams, and the people who got 2,400 this week might get 22 and just flip it. So it's just one of those ones. That's been the biggest decider, I reckon, this year, how your collective primos go. The team who went 2,700, by the way, only had 2 scores sub 94. Wow.
Yeah, big week. 23-19 got up 500 more spots at 18K, so 2,300 seems pretty spot on. Yeah. And as Kizza says here, 25 teams over 26 with 1 at 27. So, yeah, some huge weeks for some people. Hawksy projected 2-4-4-6 end of Sunday, finished on 2-2-7-7 end of Sunday. The Westgate's an hour away. Is there any other ideas?
This is what frustrates me about these bullshit projections. Like today we had Petrarca projected 128 or something. Like he hasn't been getting that for months. So it's throw the projecteds out the window. Don't plan by them, and don't go near the Westgate. Don't do it.
This is while basically after we just started. The only thing that takes longer than my shits is lockout lifting, and it dead set took it only lifted about 20 minutes ago, so it took another hour after that comment. So
there you go.
Nice.
Now we've got some proper decent questions here. There's some ones that actually might be good for you, Hurls. We'll start with we have to start considering NAS as a VCC option now, surely.
I gave the tip out to our man Pete, and he asked who should I captain after he didn't get a great VC score, and I made the call NAS, and I went too conservative. My rule is 125 on VCs, and Sherry went 126, so I said, nah, I'm sticking to my rule. And also I was looking at the cash leagues that I was in, and I was going to be pretty much in the mix to win all of them, and I did. So I didn't pull the trigger, but I think NAS is a fantastic option. But just, I think at this time of year, you've also got to just be careful that if he starts getting off the chain, what are opposition coaches try to do with him? Because that's 2 or 3 really big scores in a row, and history tells us not too many players get 140s consistently in SuperCoach. So just be careful. Don't see him the week he gets the 70 and someone tags him successfully, because it will happen. We know that happens. The maths man Flanders will tell us that averages tell you can't get 140s all the time, can you, mate?
No, you can't. If you average 120 and you're punching out 140s, you got to give hundreds at some point.
Yeah.
100%. Now, for a bloke who all night has been chatting about how he did some comments that have been dumbed down, this is a pretty good comment from Kizza. Nando's is a perfect mould for the way the AFL is played now. Transition running types, Suitcase, Richards, etc. I think it's a fair comment.
It's a great call for next year. I think the evolution, and look, the Bonts and the Butters are still going to be good players, right? I'm not saying let's forget about them, but there is a new wave of midfielder now that are these kind of blokes who are really scoring well.
Yeah, 100%. Blue Ballers, who can I trade for Little Helmet? Caleb Daniel was thinking horny man, but he looked aggro on the weekend, Pickles. Yeah, there is. Caleb Daniel he's been meh without being good. He's averaging 93. We sort of hasn't reached plus 100 since the West Coast game where he scored 124. And then besides that, he hasn't gone over 100 since round 5. So it's a far cry of what he was doing start of the season. But if you don't have the 2 best roles, like let's forget Luke Jackson for a minute because he's 650,000. So I'm assuming people trying to get off Little Helmet are not going to be able to afford Luke Jackson. If you can, go there. But if you can't, the blokes with the best roles, I think, are Matthew Kennedy, Jack McRae. Who else? You could even take a punt on Jeremy Cameron if you don't care for role and you just want to go for opposition because he's got some really weak matchups. They're the kind of ones I'd be toying with if I was going to get off Little Helmet. Now, I've only got 1 trade, so he's staying in my team. But if I was getting off him, that would be the names I would be pointing people to. What about you, Flanders? Or Jesus.
Jesus.
I wouldn't panic of guys over 400 grand forward this week. Only 9 went over 100. That includes names like Nick Larkey, Jeremy Cameron, Zach Bailey, Max Hall. It wasn't a big forwards week. Forwards didn't score this week. So I'm not panicking over it. Even then, over 425, only 6 did. So the chances of you owning all 6 and getting all 400s there, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. It's a really good point. It's a good point because if you're going to get rid of someone who's your F5 or your F6 and you're going to pick up another forward who even, let's go Kennedy. I own Kennedy and I've owned him for best part of 8 weeks. And he has frustrated me a bit because he's a 90s guy and he's been getting a couple of hundreds, but most of them are 90s. You're going from an 85 who occasionally gets 110 to a consistent 90s. You're not making massive ground up by making that move. I'd look for other underbellies within your team, maybe.
I'd rather hold that trade instead, get through to round 20. If you're looking good in your leagues and you're going to make finals at least, get through to round 20, get through to round 21, and then make a purely finals decision, even on somebody else. It might be moving off Sarong, who may have a hard run. Move off somebody who has the hard run, who's going to give you 80s, 90s, because that's what their average needs to do, to get on somebody that's good, who's going to give you 130s. Because you know they're gonna be the guys making your final 22. Little helmet might fall out, and whoever you get might also fall out. So it's not actually going to impact your score. You want to get the guys that are going to turn from a 90 into a 120, 130, 140. They're the guys you want.
Yeah.
And the move you might be able to make might be if Tom McCarthy stays the 85s guy instead of the 110s guy, and he's, let's call it 330, 340 grand by then, and you got Little Helmet at 420 and he's 330, 340, you might be able to turn both of them into, because you might have flexibility of whether that's a midfielder. You might be able to bring in a Nando's, or you might be able to bring in someone in the Max Holmes who's got a dream finals run. Like, you might be able to go to that end of the spectrum rather than just getting rid of Little Helmet now for a 5 points upswing that doesn't really make much difference.
And so maybe 5 points too. There's no confidence that he's not going to come back out.
Yeah.
And kill it.
Fantastic calls. And yeah, here's Pete giving you a bit of a shout out, Hurls, for laying to him 310 for the
he did make sure he let us know that when he went with it, that he went with the nerds. So how could he not go there when the nerds suggested to go with Nas? I think he was talking about us, bros. So that's okay. We'll take it.
I think that's us. Yeah. Yeah. I think I remember that comment.
Yeah.
Multiple times during that one episode this week.
I think that was you. I think that was all you too.
No, I mean, I dropped it in once. It was about 100 blokes.
Deadly just threw it in there to get all the
it was like
community
you starting the short thing, bros. I started the nerd thing.
That grew out of control a little quick, didn't it?
Yeah. Hell's girl, if I can get a Bombers tat, surely you can wear a Pies jumper.
Let's not get started about the Bombers tat and why you got that. And James Hurd caused that, and that's one of the other great things that he's done besides premierships and Brownlows and Norm Smiths and all those kind of things.
That might be a story for over a beer on another podcast.
Round 24, maybe.
We'll hear about that story later on. SCG, even without the tag, is bad for inside mids. Waist too small of a ground, just goes from F50 to D50 too easily. Yeah, 100%.
Agree.
Yeah,
blow the joint up. It's a shit hole.
Blow it up.
Yeah. You know what? I'm only an hour away from it. Let's get it done.
Not while anyone's in it. just the ground. The AFL will still tick it off anyway. They'll be able to play there next week. It'll be all right.
Unreal. I can't believe that. Lockie, 2214. What happened, mate? Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. And huge Collingwood fan. Lockie is a good mate of mine. Did someone say flag pies? And I'll tell you what, it's going to suck when you bounce straight out of finals first 2 weeks. So suck in, mate.
Them's fighting words. They're going to be hard to beat, Lockie, unfortunately. That's a good
for our audio listeners, Kiz has just said in the chat, Deadly's already dressed for blowing it up. You know what? Very cool.
I've seen you keep it in there. Start there and then go to the SCG.
I'm glad we're an hour and 52 in, and that wasn't the point of the show that someone just tuned in and thinking, what does that mean?
That's good. Anyway. I'm a big fan of that. That's good from you, Kiz. And ended off with promoting. Actually, no, we got one more question. This one's from our WhatsApp, which I'm going to direct ray to this. I'm sure you can type it back in. But he has 7 trades left, and he's full primo, and he's playing purely for leagues. Would you trade Chera to Libba in 2 trades, or just hold the 7 trades for injuries and suspensions?
Chera
to Libba.
If you're safe in the top 4 of your league finals, I wouldn't make any moves. If you're in the bottom half of the 8 or struggling to make the 8, and you needed to make ground, then I would consider something. Whether that's the right move, I don't 100% know.
Yeah. I'm sure you can have a chat with Ray in the WhatsApp later about it.
We'll have a chat, Ray, if you want. I think if you've got 7 trades, there's some moves you can make, but you also got to remember that if you're in the top 4 of your leagues right now, your competitive advantage is having 7 trades, because there'll be people like me who are fighting to make the top 4 or even the bottom half of the 8 in the leagues, who are just have gone all out and have one trade left. So I'd be more inclined, if you're safe, to just back off for 2 weeks and start making some moves in round 20 to 21.
Yeah, and that's where the McCarthy little helmet areas, those sorts of trades come into play.
Yeah,
and it's a good chat to have with Ray later on. I'm sure you'll enjoy that. The Squid, great job hosting. Deadly slaps ass. If you have not tuned into us playing 2K, some of the Insight boys, me, Horse, Brano, Squid, it's bloody comedy. And the Squid's got an obsession with every time someone does something good, he says slaps ass, as in he slap on the ass. Good job. So we love the Squid, and I thought I'd bring that up. It's a great man. And just on 2K, Deadly Horse told me he had to carry you in 2K the other night. True or false? Broads, what's the line again? What's the dusty line again? Refuse to speak to the media or something like that. Don't want to talk about it. Unsure.
I did attend the live stream for a bit there, and I can attest to the fact of yes, Deadly did need a help up. It was also to get off the couch and get up to the couch to sit there. But he did need a hand.
You could go back to you could go back to the once great running back from the Seahawks, mate, and Super Bowl week, and he answered 24 times in his in his interview. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here, and every question that they asked, he answered with, "I'm just here so I don't get fined." It was hilarious.
It's like it's like those guys who are getting interrogated by the cops, and they just go, "I don't answer questions. I don't answer questions. I don't answer questions," just over and over again. And we'll end it off with a bit of a funny one from your other half here, Hurls. What's a good TV series or movie to watch? Need something for this week? Just watching the Blues lose all over again. So great.
Yes, I'm about to. We'll probably watch a bit of the F1. The youngest daughter's an F1 fanatic, so we'll probably watch the F1, which is on in about 2 hours. So between then and now, there's 2 hours to kill. We might have to watch the Blues lose again. That might be entertaining in our household.
1 or 2 hours. I'm working out whether to stay up or wake up early.
Yes,
I don't know.
Big F1 fan in SC_Flanders as well. He loves it.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2. It's usually 10 p.m. here, which is 2 hours away, but I don't know exactly, mate.
No, you've got time to work it out, fellas. But that'll bring us to the end tonight. We didn't crack the 2 hour mark. We got 156, but I'll tell you what, we've had a ripping effort, and just quickly before we jump off and we say goodbye, we do want to emphasize that we are all about breaking the stigma about men's mental health, and it's not weak to speak, and we just want to mention that all our DMs are open, that the Horse, his DMs are open, Squid, all the NRL boys. If you ever need a chat, I'd much rather do that than have to talk about you in a different way. So even just going for a walk, writing your thoughts down on a piece of paper, it's much better. But that'll do us. So Hurls, thanks for jumping on again, mate. 2 hours. I'm sure
no worries.
You'll be ready to have a bit of a snooze tonight.
It's good. It's good. And then we'll be back Tuesday night to talk more SuperCoach and do it all again. I don't know what we'll have in store. If you're a Patreon, let us know in the members chat what you want us to talk about on Tuesday night, and we'll come up with something.
100%. Yeah, it's that point in the season where there's not much going on, but if you got any ideas you want to see from us content wise for the rest of the AFL, while no one has trades and we're just talking about games, feel free to drop some suggestions. But Broads, you'll keep hammering away at some numbers, and we'll see you.
Pretty much,
thanks guys, appreciate it.